topple buildings in Manhattan. I'm Osama, run tell Obama, I'm your fucking uncle. Mahmoud, can we go hijacking? What?
Steve Waldner, News Nation national security contributor, former staff operations officer for the CIA's Counterterrorism Center, also formerly with the FBI with us now. Tracy, good to see you. Perfect guest for this. As I watched cable news all day today, it said on the bottom of the screen, does Iran have sleeper cells, ? And I thought to myself, it would be more shocking if they didn't have people that they'd infiltrated over the southern border in the past 4 years than if they did.
By the way, if you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. Very easy.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys. Wow.
You will see soon.
Does anybody really think that there aren't thousands and thousands of terrorist sleeper cells here in the United States just sitting around waiting to be given the orders to do whatever it is they're going to do? Does anybody really think that isn't the case? Especially with the border being open like it was for 4 years. I mean, come on, people. If you were one of our enemies, what would you do? I mean, there's this guy. I was talking to him on Facebook, and I showed this video of a Middle Eastern fellow, Islamic fellow, who had just crossed the border 2 or 3 years ago, and he was standing there bragging to the guy about all the shit that he was going to do here in the United States. And this guy I was talking to, he goes, "Why, he sounds like he's from the Middle East," as if the idea never even occurred to him before. How can people be so freaking stupid? And yet it's happening, and it has happened, which makes you wonder, the people who run this country, they're not stupid, and they're not ignorant, and yet they allowed this to happen. Why do you think that is? Anyway, sources say that the National Counterterrorism Center, NCTC, has officially determined that Islamic terrorists affiliated with Al-Qaeda have infiltrated U.S. soil and are actively planning a series of coordinated Islamic terror attacks. This marks the first time federal counterterrorism officials have openly acknowledged the immediacy of such threats, signaling a potential escalation in domestic jihadist activity not seen since the height of ISIS-inspired plots in the mid-2010s. According to NCTC's latest assessment, shared in a classified briefing to congressional leaders and leaked, Al-Qaeda cells, emboldened by the group's resurgence in Afghanistan and the North Central Africa, have embedded themselves across major urban centers in the U.S. This has been confirmed, intercepted communications, financial tracking, and human intelligence. Sources tell me that this is a sophisticated operation aimed at maximizing casualties and chaos. Well, the sources didn't tell me. They told whoever wrote that. I'm reading it. But you get the picture. Always, whenever you're thinking about something like this, always ask yourself what you would do. All right? If you were a terrorist cell here in the United States planning a big terrorist attack, what would you do to inflict the maximum amount of terror? It's really kind of easy, and it's also very easily done, too, and impossible to combat before it happens.
Guess if you were a betting woman. U.S. homeland attack. What do you think it'll look like?
So I don't need to guess. So we've been collecting on it. So there's phases, okay? So there's a phase that's kind of like where you live, work, and play. And this is kind of like Paris 2015 or Mumbai, 2008, 2009. So this is where it's going to be mostly ISIS is going to be doing a lot of this. But it's just in mid-tier cities, in towns, and they're going to hit multiple targets at the same time, almost like he was going to do in New Orleans, but messed it up. Because remember, that was supposed to have bombs, a vehicle ramming, and then he was going to use, obviously, his weapon. So think of, multimodal. Then after a series of those, there's going to be, as Al-Qaeda has planned anyway, hopefully we thwart it, another 9/11. This 9/11 from what we know, is targeting 3 times more airlines than the first one. And then most of the targets are DC institutions, based in that area, and they're mostly law enforcement, intelligence, and military targets.
Okay, Sarah Adams, a former CIA targeter. I don't know what a targeter is, but she was one. In September 2025, was interviewed and warned of an in-motion al-Qaeda plot for a 3 times 9/11 attack by late December 2025, involving aviation bombings and Bojinka-style hidden devices. Bojinka was a big terror plot that was thwarted back, about 20 years ago. One of the main honchos, he accidentally set a chemical fire at his apartment, and they found it, and then from there they broke up the plot. But they were gonna be blowing up planes, at least 20 or 30 planes, and they were gonna go all over the place. That was Bojinka, and that's gonna be one of the things she's saying they're gonna do, a Mumbai-style siege on Washington, D.C. Now, look up the Mumbai terror event. What they did was they got a bunch of guys, and then they set them loose on the city all by themselves, and they all just went around shooting and blasting the shit out of everybody, all on their own, all over the city. All you have to do is have 10 or 11 guys and just send them to 10 or 11 different places, and the next thing you know, you've got pandemonium and chemical attacks on soft targets. That could be sporting events, churches, residential neighborhoods. And if I were them, I'd get a bunch of guys and I'd send them out to little country towns too, all over the place out in the country, and start blasting people in small town America. That's what I'd do if it were me. She claims up to 1,000 al-Qaeda operatives are already in the United States, funneled via southern borders, with states like Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas flagged. A September 2025 National Counterterrorism Center report echoed concerns about al-Qaeda targeting hospitals with scoping evidence. And I just talked about that. And these guys are here. One time I was at some event downtown Fort Worth, and about a block off the main drag there where they were having this, I think it was the art festival, I looked over and I saw this Middle Eastern guy, obviously Middle Eastern, and he was pacing off distances between buildings. Now, why would anybody do that? So I went and told a police officer, and they were right on it quick, man. They took it very seriously. They didn't snicker at me. They didn't laugh. They went right over there, and I don't know what came of it, but that's what the guy was doing, and the police took it very seriously. So if you see something, say something. They're not going to laugh at you unless, you say aliens are doing it or something.
So what they decided, so this is actually in honor of a plot that was failed. It's a 30-year anniversary. It's called Bojinka. So Bojinka, it had multiple pieces to the plot. One was to kill the Pope. One was to put an airplane into the CIA. And then one was to down 11 airliners, trans-Pacific, okay? It ended up getting thwarted just 2 weeks before because Ramzi Youssef was there and had like a chemical fire in his apartment. So they got lucky. Well,
Jesus.
Yeah, thank heavens. I'm hoping this happens again. So the bond maker for that plot was released from house arrest in late 2021, and he went back to Afghanistan in 2022. He made the bombs for this airline plot. So that was his biggest failure, Bojinka. It's the 30-year anniversary. So we think they're just going to recreate Bojinka and finally bring it to a success.
Oh, yeah, and Bojinka, I forgot to mention, early January this next year is going to be the 30-year anniversary of Bojinka. So that's something to think about, too. Now, according to what's being said, al-Qaeda terror attack plans in the U.S. are focused on hospitals and medical facilities. NCTC even has evidence that these terrorists are scoping emergency rooms, trauma centers, and triage points in cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Miami. The intent appears clear: disrupt healthcare infrastructure to prevent treatment of the wounded, effectively creating a second wave of fatalities through denial of care. In the event of an attack, civilians could face a nightmarish scenario where friend and foe are indistinguishable, with medics overwhelmed and no safe haven for the injured. The potential for hundreds, if not thousands, of additional death in the chaos is described by one DHS source as horrifying beyond comprehension. So you go out and hit a bunch of places, shoot a bunch of people, and then wait a little bit and then go in and shoot up the hospital so they can't get treated. Seems pretty obvious, seems simple. The plot scale points to simultaneous strikes across multiple cities, echoing al-Qaeda's historical ambition for mass casualty operations like 9/11, but adapted for urban guerrilla tactics. Targets could include soft sites such as crowded events, transportation hubs, and public gatherings.
Now, for the next round, at least from what we know, for those live, work, and play ones, they generally know at least the state it's being in. I don't know if they know the city and the date, but they're going to be giving it last minute. But what's different is they have the freedom of choice like they did in Mumbai for that attack. So let's say you're attacking the metro in Arlington, Virginia, okay? And you go down there and it's kind of dead, but before you went down, there's a huge street festival, going on. So you could say, well, it was a better target upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs and do it. Like, that's a very strange thing that they have this freedom of movement, right? So the terrorists can make last minute choices. We saw this actually in Orlando with Omar Mateen, right? He and his wife surveilled the downtown Disney area, and then he went back to do the attack there, decided there's too much Disney security, pivoted to a second, and the third place they picked was Pulse nightclub. So they actually see the success in doing that. Yeah, let the attacker on the ground make the decision so he can have a maximum effect.
Oh, yeah, and that was my dog drinking. I didn't hear her while I was speaking. I love her. I indulge her. But anyway, General Michael Flynn, former DIA head and Trump advisor, in November 2025 statements, Flynn predicted a mega 9/11 within 90 days to disrupt the incoming Trump administration, involving international forces and domestic sabotage, potentially dwarfing past attacks. Now, I don't know. I mean, the Trump administration's already been incoming. But, they might be trying to disrupt some of the stuff that he's planning on doing. They might be planning on, just doing a lot of things to disrupt the administration. And the Democrats, who allowed them into the country in the first place, call me cynical, but I think they're in on it. I think that they would be in on it. They let COVID loose. Think about it. Who benefited from COVID? Name one organization that benefited in every way from COVID. The Democrats. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. For individuals, stay vigilant. Report suspicious activity to local law enforcement or the FBI tip line. And there it is, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Avoid unverified social media rumors to prevent unnecessary panic. If you're in a high-risk area, like a major city, airport, veteran hub, follow DHS guidelines on preparedness. And you can, I suppose, look those up someplace. I don't know what they are. But it's like I said earlier. I mean, they're not going to, unless you talk about Bigfoot or something like that, or your dead grandpa coming back to life, as long as you give them a credible story, they will take it seriously. I was dumbfounded how seriously they took it when I reported what that guy was doing there in downtown Fort Worth. I swear to God, he was right over there. And then immediately there were like 5 other guys on bicycles there too. So anyway, keep this in mind. I don't know, arm yourself. Arm yourself.
I walk into an airplane like Roman Salah. This will be a bumpy ride. Put your seatbelt on. I got C4 bomb tucked into my undies. The pilot says,
Damn, should have rode my donkey.
it's about to get crazy. When it's time to pray, grab